Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Lonavala International Film Festival. As you all know, we are paying a tribute to one of our favorite filmmakers, Shri Shakti Samanta. But before I come to Shaktida himself, I'd like to introduce this very august panel of people who are going to be talking to us about the festival and about Shaktida. I think it's in the fitness of things that I begin with the industrialist, and the one supreme patron of the arts, Mr. Madhav Todi, because of whom we are here today and who runs this wonderful Trios cinema in Lonavala, along with a boutique hotel. So if you ever go to Lonavala, you know where to go for entertainment and for hospitality. So Madhav Todi Saab, congratulations on continuing this great tradition of the Lonavala International Film Festival. And God willing, last year we paid a virtual tribute to another ace filmmaker, Sri Ananth, and this year you have selected Shaktida. And next year, God willing, we will be not virtual, but we will be physical at the Trios cinemas, watching great films with the audiences there. So I really hope and pray that this is one of our last virtual appearances, and we will be physically together next year at the Trios cinemas. I would like to introduce one of the finest choreographers and a dear, dear friend, Mr. Sandip Soparrkar. He gets the value of the aesthetic into the performing arts so well that sometimes he's absolutely stunning and mind-blowing. And if you haven't watched his videos and if you haven't interacted with him, you know where to get him and get in touch with him immediately, because for him, dance is life is the dance of Shiva for him. And you should see him in one of the ballets with Hemaji, and you'll know what I'm talking about. My dear, dear friend, Divya Solgama, the RJ whose fan club exceeds the fan clubs of some of the biggest stars in Bollywood, and rightly so. Why not? The man is a walking, talking history book. He knows everything about Indian cinema, particularly Hindi cinema. And today he's going to tell us things which we would never have heard of before. And we are going to probe into that encyclopedia called Divya Solgama. And of
Thank you,
course,
Ananth.
last but not the least, in fact, practically the most important person on this panel today is the man who has carried the flag of Shakti films ahead after Shaktida, even during Shaktida, and none other than Mr. Ashim Samanta. Ashim Samanta is here, and fortunately, we are going to have his company to give us a lot of, very interesting anecdotes about Shaktida and the film we're going to watch today. But before that, I would like to, I can't resist talking about Shaktida because Shakti films incidentally started during the year of my birth, 1957. So somewhere, there is a connection, an emotional bond. And of course, I never guessed when when he sort of, toned our tastes for Hindi cinema with Evening in Paris or Aradhana or Kati Patang or Amar Prem and a whole lot of films. I never guessed that I would come up close in front with him, thanks to the publicity company, the advertising company I joined called Bombay Publicity, Shri VP Sate, who was the head of Bombay Publicity. And I remember, and if I may say so, I was probably the first, along with Sate Saab, to watch the first preview of Barsat Ki Ek Raat at the Natraj cinema along with Shaktida, because he was kind enough to show us the film, because we had to plan the entire publicity campaign for the film. Of course, the initial reaction to Barsat Ki Ek Raat was Barsat Ki Raat, and we always thought of the Bharat Bhushan Madhubala film. But then we knew Barsat Ki Ek Raat was a Shakti Samanta film. His 31st film, if I'm not mistaken. Of course, he made about 42 films in 41 years. So his 31st film and his second film with Mr. Amitabh Bachchan after The Great Gambler in 1979. I think Barsat Ki Ek Raat was 1982, if I'm not mistaken. 82, yeah. And it was released at the Opera House and it went on to do a Silver Jubilee. And incidentally, the publicity, I mean, the distributor was Janta Film Distributors. That was Sri NNCP himself, whom we paid a tribute to last year. So see the connection. I mean, it's a very close-knit family, this film industry. You will find a connection somewhere, and it may be divine, it may be physical, it may be artistic, it may be just, you know, aesthetic. It's so beautiful about the film industry, because when I started making films, my first film was Dil Vil Pyar Vyar, and it paid a tribute to R.D. Burman, Panchamda, and we used the song from Kati Patang Ye Jo Mohabbat Hai with the three heroes and three singers singing this for three heroes. So we adapted that song into my very first film. So you can realize how close Shakti Da was to me. And yes, he did go to, he made a hat trick with Rajesh Khanna, with Aradhana, Kati Patang and Amar Prem. And Shakti Raj, the company, the distribution company was actually Shakti Samanta and Rajesh Khanna. So Shakti Raj Films was also a client of Bombay Publicity, and we used to do the publicity of all their films. So it's an absolute delight to be here and talk about Shakti Da in such nostalgic terms. But there is so much to come from our other panelists today. So I'm going to start. I think I'll start with. I'll keep Ashim Da for the end, because the best always waits for the end. So let's start with Sandip Ji. Sandip Ji. I want to, talk about the choreography for one song in Barsat Ki Ek Raat. The dhol song, where Phat Gaya Dhol, that one.
True.
So what do you think of that? And it really sort of, played to the gallery in a sense, because Amjad Khan and Mr. Amitabh Bachchan came face to face after Sholay in, one great confrontation film. And what do you think of that? And anything else that you'd like to add about your observations about Barsat Ki Ek Raat?
Sir, first of all, I want to congratulate Madhav sir for this amazing festival you have been having past so many years, and all the best to everyone. It's a great way to understand cinema and to know more about it. And Ananth sir, coming from you and the anecdotes from everybody else, is going to be a learning experience for everyone who's watching this. So thank you so much for this. Well, as far as the song is concerned, I would say it had so much of meaning, in-depth meaning to it. When we say Phat Gaya Dhol, it's not just Phat Gaya Dhol, it's talking about our life as well, and how there is a lot more of sense into our lives, which says our life का ढोल जो होता है, जिंदगी का जो म्यूजिक होता है, वो ढोल जब फटता है तो कैसे हमारी हवा निकल जाती है. So it's very important to understand these words, the music, the lyrics which were there made sense for life, not just as song and dance. And P.L. Raj's choreography, I think, has always been a learning experience for all choreographers. Be it Sarojji, be it us, wherever we are learning choreography, we are made to see choreography of P.L. Raj, sir, because that's when we realize what real meaning of setting up. Like they said, dance bithana padta hai in our choreographer's language, we say dance bithao. बिठाना जो पड़ता है डांस, उसका जो मीनिंग निकलता है बाहर हर एक शब्द के साथ में, every word should relate to the dance moves, and therefore it must come out, be it through expressions or through movement of dance. And that is what I think Shakti Da did it the best in all his films. And Barsat Ki Ek Raat is just one of the examples of it. There are so many of them. All his films have been brilliant, with every move making so much sense. Like last time we were there talking about an evening in Paris, and we spoke about, the legendary Shami Kapoor. So all of them, and even Amitabh Bachchan, I think there is no one who can match his persona and his style of dancing. Though we might not call him a Hrithik Roshan style of great dancing, but it's not about the quality of dance, it's about the expression that comes with the dance. And I think it is certain moves of Amit ji are so etched in our memories, they will remain forever. I remember I was doing this choreography for their Aishwarya and Abhishek's wedding, and I was doing one dance training for Amitji and for Jaya Auntie, and he said to me when I said, "Sir, you have to do your, that step that he always does." I said, "You have to do that." Kitna karu main? I said, "But for you it is kitna karo, but for all of us there, it is when you break out into that dance move, it's like you see God in front of you." So certain things make a legend, and I think this film, Barsat Ki Ek Raat, added to the value of Amitabh Bachchan sir today that we talk about. So I think every move that he made, like you said correctly in the song as well, is just mesmerizing with so much of meaning to it as well.
Thank you so much. That was a very lovely analysis of Kashiram ka Phat Gaya. Kali Ram ka Phat Gaya Dol. Okay. Besides that number, there were two very, very melodious numbers by R.D. Burman in that, Apne Pyar Ke Sapne, and one more Lata number, which Divya would like to throw light on, because I'm sure he has some very interesting insights into the music of Barsat Ki Ek Raat and maybe some other facts that we do not know. Divya.
So, of course, Ananth, being a Amitabh Bachchan diehard fan, I will start with Kali Ram Ka Dol, because as a kid, we used to watch that song on Doordarshan. Chaya Geet used to always end their program with this one, where Amjad Khan is running away. And jo teasing hui thi Amitabh Bachchan and Amjad Khan ke beech mein, Bachchan Saab was at like 100 out of 100, but you should give the same thing to Amjad Khan to taking it also. Because वो भाग रहे, वो देख रहे, वो गुस्सा कर रहे, and all those words when Bachchan Saab is like, "Hey Devi Ma, le iski jaan," and all those the way he does that, and it starts with that "Kaua hans ki chaal chala, langda kar ghoda dauda, ek gade ne koshish ki ke wo bhi ban jaye ghoda," something like So Kali Ram ka bhat gaya dol. So it's a superb. As a kid, we used to love that song. Uske alawa, the Lata song which you mentioned, it's like the superb, fabulous song, Hai Wo Pardesi. Itna pyara gana, itna pyara. Nadia Kinare is also there. It's also a beautiful one. But Hai Wo Pardesi, mein that Pancham beat is there, and that Pancham had this one typical that tune which is going in background. So this also says that it has that Rajesh Khanna flavor also in this song. That Rajesh Khanna Pancham flavor that is going on, and plus it's got that Western touch and everything. उसके अलावा अपने प्यार के सपने सच हुए तो बहुत ही प्यारा गाना है. एक और मस्ती वाला गाना था which was on Bachchan Saab, and that was Manchali Oh Manchali, where him and Prema Narayan was launched in this film. I guess so. Correct me if I'm wrong, but big film which we remember. They both had this dance, and that Bachchan Saab's look of that he had this hat and that mustache and that different type of look. I guess Ashim, little bit we saw similar in Dushman. Mithunda also had something similar type of look in that song.
Yeah, that was a Chinese look actually.
Chinese look. But again, if you watch this film, Amitabh Bachchan, it started in 77, but Bachchan Saab looked the most handsome. Itne handsome. You have a man crush on him in this movie, and especially when he's wearing that cop ka uniform. He's been cop in so many films, but his film he was looking that stylish, handsome cop. So that was Amitabh Bachchan in this film. और उसके अलावा तो गानों की भी बात करेंगे तो I have read somewhere that many of these songs have been remixed in fusion versions, especially in Europe and other places. और फिल्म में fight scene में one of my favorite fight scene is that cable car fight scene. I just love that in the way it was shot, and this is something I wanted to show. This is one of the gem which I have.
Collector's items, yes.
But this is the biggest one.
Anusandhan. Yes, this is the Bengali version, which was a huge rage in Kolkata when it was released. So it was released in two versions, and I believe it did about 2 crores in Mumbai at the Opera House, and it was one of the top grossers of that year. Thank you, Divya. Thank you, Divya, for letting us into the music of Barsat Ki Ek Raat. And now for the crowning glory of the evening, none other than Mr. Ashim Samanta. Ashimji, I must tell you that, our connection with Natraj Studios has never been severed in life. We used to come to Pramod Chakravarti's office, then we used to go to Atma Ramde's office, and then we used to come to Shaktida's office.
Yeah, I remember. Of course, I remember.
Yeah, and today we still continue our connection with Natraj Sound. When we come and do the dubbing and we come and do so many sound exercises and sound equipment being used from Nataraj for dubbing and effects and Foley and other things. So you continue to be part of our lives, which is such a wonderful thing. So Ashim, over to you, and give us all the material that and all the stories that we do not know about Barsat Ki Ek Raat.
Yeah, I'll start with Kali Ram Ka Dhol. We were shooting this. We had finished our outdoors in Darjeeling, and we were. It was month of October, very very hot, and it was at Film City. We had created this set of Darjeeling, and it was terribly hot, and you could see the actors are wearing sweaters and coats, and Rakiji is wearing a shawl and all that stuff. So all the time the three actors would be cursing Dad that Dada, आप हमसे 7-8 दिन एक्स्ट्रा क्यों नहीं ले लिया दार्जिलिंग में शूट करते, ये गर्मी में हमारा हालत खराब हो गया. But they carried on shooting, and it was fantastic to see them, you know, despite that heat and everything, they were in full mood and shooting the song beautifully. Many years later, I was shooting a serial there, and there were these young 25-year-old boys strapping 6 feet plus everybody, and they were getting tired. And I was shooting in the month of October, and they were getting tired after every 15-20 minutes. They wanted lemon juice and this and that and all that stuff, and they were saying it's so hot, it's so hot. They were complaining. I told them that Mr. Bachchan, Amitabh Bachchan, Rakhi, my father, who was about 60, 65, 70 years old, all of them were working there. And now today also I'm 55, 60. That time I was 55, 60 when I was shooting there. And you guys are 25, and sir, you all were made of different stuff. We can't. And I mean, it was fantastic. And that song, of course, we worked very hard on that song. I remember that, and the lyric writer, both for the Bengali and for Hindi, Anand Bakshish Sahab, so that we would, as Sandip pointed out, you know, it had that double meaning, and so it had to be a highlight of the film. And so both the lyric writers, the music director, everybody worked very hard. And for the dhol, fortunately, it was during Puja, Durga Puja, that those dhol keys had come from Calcutta. So we recorded them live, because, you know, that feel, the genuine feel of the dhol keys of Calcutta, that wouldn't come through with the local guys.
Right.
So we got them to play, and we recorded all that stuff. In fact, we recorded them not at the film center where we recorded all the songs, but at Nataraj studio.
Oh.
Yeah. So, you know, that introduction dhol, where the dhol breaks and all that stuff was recorded at Nataraj. And then we incorporated that in the song.
Right.
So it was very interesting. Then we were shooting at Darjeeling, and we were shooting at, I forgot the location's name. It was very high and it was very cold, where we were shooting Sapne Pyar Ke. And it was really cold. And in fact, Rakiji fainted because of the cold and wind. It was very windy. So the chill factor, the wind chill factor was terrible. But she recovered very fast, and about 15-20 minutes she was fine. And so we shot major parts of the movie in Darjeeling, and then we created that set where they live.
Yeah, and that house where they live.
That was a real house in Darjeeling. And then we replicated that in Bombay, because there was a lot of work indoors and outdoors.
Right.
We replicated that set at Nataraj Studio.
Yeah. I remember one of the most, terrifying scenes was when Amjad Khan stalks a blind Rakhi inside the house, you know. So That must have been one of the very important scenes that you shot inside the house, and that to a night sequence.
Yes, that was a Natraj. We created that set.
Yeah, and then they run away from the house and they go, outside. So was that shot at Darjeeling? Was the exterior shot at Darjeeling?
Yes, exterior was shot in Darjeeling.
Right, right. So, I mean, that must have been difficult to sort of maintain unless you shoot this first and then you sort of get into that continuity. So,
well, a good technician knows what to do.
Yeah. No, for the actors to get that,
Yeah.
pick it up from a midpoint and then take it, because it was quite a agonizing scene for Rakhi, and of course,
Right.
Amjad Saab was at his venomous best in that sequence. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And Prema Narayan had a very good role too.
Yeah.
But she had worked with us earlier in Amanush.
Amanush, she was there, yes, of course, yeah.
Yeah,
Again, a bilingual with in Bengali, and thanks to Shaktida, we had Uttam Da, in a Hindi film after a very long time, yeah.
And it was very interesting, we were shooting Amjad Khan and Amit Ji. They were not, they did not know Bengali as such. I mean, Amit Ji knows a little bit of Bengali, but Amjad Ji did not know any Bengali. So we used to, even for Amit Ji, we used to write the dialogues.
Okay.
These
cutters.
The cutters.
Yeah.
And on the floor, on the different, and we would place the cutters as per his
eyeline.
The way he wanted.
Yeah.
For example, where he is very upset, and after his wife has got raped and all that stuff. So there is one huge long scene, 3-page scene, and so he rehearsed it many times. So we knew where all he wanted to look. Like he wanted to look left of camera sometimes, right of camera sometimes look down. So according to his movement, we place the cutters, and just maybe 2 lines down, 3 lines here, 3 lines here, 3 lines here. So that sort of thing. And the whole scene was shot in one single shot.
Wow.
It was a 3-minute scene. So the Bengali one, he rehearsed 2-3 times and he gave the shot in, I think, 1 or 2 takes. It was done. Then for Hindi, it was like, ab to daएं हाथ का खेल.
So did he do the Hindi version in exactly the same punctuated manner as the Bengali version?
No, but listen to this. So then the Hindi started, and he thought it would be a cakewalk for him because Bengali to ho chuka tha, and rehearsal ho chuka tha. The Hindi cut after the Bengali, we started the Hindi. 16 takes.
Oh.
He just couldn't get it through. And he was very adamant that I want to get it in 1 shot. That only we can cut and take it, doesn't matter. No, I want to do it in 1 shot. So he took it as a challenge and he did it. He did.
Right. Yeah.
But all 3 dubbed now in this one, all 3 dubbed in their own voice.
Yes. In fact, I've seen a lot of reactions from Bengalis who were thrilled to see Amitji talk in Bengali, and those reactions are there on the net. They have actually said it's so thrilling to watch our favorite actor talk in Bengali. So,
and in Bengal, that movie did tremendous business. It did almost as much the Hindi did in all over India.
Yeah.
Almost that much business just Bengal circuit did with the Bengali movie.
Right.
So Ashim, correct me if I'm wrong. I read somewhere that for 10 years, there was not even a single film which could break the record of Barsat Ki Ek Raat in the Bengali version.
Yes, Anusandhan. It was called Anusandhan.
Wow, Anusandhan,
First movie to break all those records was Amanush.
Right.
Amanush broke all records, and from that was in 74.
Yeah.
Until Barsat Ki Ek Raat, Anusandhan, no film had even reached anywhere close.
Right.
Then also Anusandhan broke the record of Amanush also.
Right.
And then for 10 years or so, you're right when you say that for many, many years, no other film could break that record. Yes.
Right. So between The Great Gambler and Barsat Ki Ek Raat, I mean, these were the only 2 films with Mr. Bachchan and Shakti Das. So, I mean, Great Gambler was, of course, all over the world. It was one hell of a ride. you know, and then coming back to the thing. How come Shaktida did just 2 films with Mr. Bachchan?
Well, after that, you see, Amitji was started doing very few films. Soon after that, he met with that accident on the sets of Coolie.
Okay.
That was just after Barsat Ki Ek Raat.
Okay.
I think it was 82 or 83.
83. Yes, yeah.
After that, he started doing just 1 or 2 films a year. So then,
they did one more film indirectly, not directly, and that was Bachchan Saab was just a small part, and that was Balika Badhu, which where he dubbed his voice.
No, that was much before that.
Much before, yeah.
That was produced by Shakti. That wasn't
produced.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Great. So that was wonderful. Thank you, Ashimji. I do not know how we're doing on time.
We are actually running short of time as usual. We get engrossed and carried away.
I guessed as much, and there's so much more to know, but this has really been wonderful. I mean, a trip down, memory lane and great nostalgia. Thank you, Madhavji, once again for bringing us all the great icons of Indian cinema into the Lonavala International Film Festival. And even when we meet in person, I think next year, we should have a separate section where we will honor another great iconic filmmaker that we may select. We had so many of them: Nasir Hussain Saab and Ananth Saab, Shakti Da, Bappi Soni. These were, the filmmakers who really shaped our taste for Hindi cinema and music during our childhood. So thank you so much, Madhavji. Over to you to conclude the session and take the viewers into the film.
Thank you so much. I just have a quick question, which I will modify slightly. And Ashimji, this is to you. Shaktida has worked with 2 superstars, Rajesh Khanna ji and Amitabh Bachchan ji, and the incidents, of course, being Darjeeling for both in one of the movies. Would you like to draw any parallel or comparison or distinction in the style of working or anything? Both superstars we know came in quick, one after the other. And
one distinction is punctuality. Rajesh Khanna was always late, never on time, and Bachchan Saab was never late. I remember he did 2 movies with us, Barsat Ki Ek Raat and Great Gambler, and that's quite a lot of. And Barsat Ki Ek Raat was in double version. Not a single day was he even 5 minutes late. Can you imagine that?
I was told that even Bachchan Saab was never on time. He was always before time.
he was sometimes before time. I remember in Darjeeling, we were there for about 25, 26 days. And he would be our timing was 7 o'clock. We would leave for the location at 7 o'clock from the hotel. He would come down at 6:55 every day and ask me, Ashim, are we ready? I said, yes. And we would go to the car and sit down. So at, 1 to 7 or 2 to 7, the car would leave. It was so precise. And all those 25 days. Right. It's amazing.
Yeah. Indeed, yes.
And both Rajesh Khanna, Amitabh Bachchan, both are fabulous, were fabulous actors. So there you really can't compare that because they're damn good.
And I think Shaktida is one of the very few filmmakers who's worked with both superstars. And of course, no one can forget how he literally made the career of Rajesh Khanna with Aradhana. So it's a great journey for Shaktida and a great time for all of us who have feasted on his cinema. Madhavji.
Thank you very much, Anand ji. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Sandip ji. Thank you, Ashim ji. Thank you, Divya ji. And we continue to watch the movie, and then we'll again have the panel discussion tomorrow for the next film. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.